Well, Section 27's case against the SA Council for Educators is continuing in the High Court in Johannesburg. It says the sanction against two teachers who were found guilty of assaulting two pupils in 2015 was not severe enough. The teachers were each fined 15,000 rand, of which 5,000 rand was suspended. Mila Harding from Section 27 joining us to discuss this. Hello to you, Mila. So I imagine your organisation not very happy with that sanction. Why is that?
We believe that the sanction was far too light against the two teachers. It essentially amounted to a fine because the suspended teacher, suspended sentence of having their name struck off the roll was suspended, meaning that it would only take effect if the teachers were found guilty of another instance of corporal punishment.
So what kind of message do you think this now sends to other educators who think it might be okay to still use corporal punishment in school? Because I imagine a sanction is not just for those who were found guilty, but it would send some kind of message to educators and to society, wouldn't it?
Yes, we do believe that it's part of the official ambivalence towards corporal punishment that the government has. Corporal punishment in schools has been banned since 1996, but we believe that because it's not properly enforced, the ban is not really effective. And that's indicative in the numbers we see. In 2019, around 7% of learners in schools reported that they'd been subjected to corporal punishment in the previous 3 months, which is a travesty. It's a violation of the rights of children.
And according to the council's, it was their annual report of 2019-2020, if I have it right as well, there was about 38% of the cases that the council was dealing with was with corporal punishment as well. So it's still a big issue, but there is a bigger discussion to be had here, Mila, and I'm sure you'll be well aware of this as Section 27 as well, is that it's the discipline within schools. Obviously, the problem starts at home, and we now have teachers and students often getting into fights as a result of that. So there is still a conversation to have around corporal punishment, isn't there?
We do recognize that school discipline is a problem and that learners can act out in certain instances, but we believe that discipline in itself is inherently not violent in the first instance. But to ensure school discipline, you have to set an environment that is non-violent. And using corporal punishment against learners is setting a bad example for those learners. Moreover, corporal punishment isn't an effective form of discipline. Studies have shown that it doesn't work to ensure discipline in the long term. It causes greater aggression on the part of learners. And this isn't to say that if a learner is, for instance, violent against a teacher, the teacher can defend themselves, because there's a fundamental difference between using force to protect oneself and using force to punish someone else.
And I suppose that's where the argument could come in as well, Mila, that a teacher shouldn't have to be in a position now where they have to defend themselves in a classroom. I suppose there's the argument there as well, isn't it?
I agree with you that teachers shouldn't have to be defending themselves within the classroom, but I don't think that the solution to that is to use corporal punishment against learners. I mean, we all know, based on the evidence, that that's not the solution for that. There are other steps that teachers can take, like very early on they can try and use positive discipline, but also the National School Safety Framework sets out steps that schools can take to make the school environment safer for teachers.
What would then, as a last question to you, be the ultimate solution for Section 27? We started our conversation saying the sanctions, 15,000 rand for the two teachers who assaulted the pupils, 5,000 rand of that was suspended. In an ideal world, what would Section 27 like to see?
Well, we would like to see the South African Council for Educators taking corporal punishment seriously by giving out sentences that are more proportionate to the nature and severity of the offence. In our case in particular, the incidents of corporal punishment were very severe and caused lifelong detriment to the children involved. And so we would like them to take a different approach to their disciplinary procedures against teachers. And when meting out sentences against teachers to take certain factors into account, including the nature and severity of the assault, the rights of children, and whether there are any rehabilitative or corrective measures that could be available for teachers who are guilty of corporal punishment.
Well, as I say, thank you to Mila Harding from Section 27's Law Centre. I feel like there's a much bigger discussion to be had as well, because these discussions are bringing various other issues to light as well. Mila Harding, I really appreciate your time in speaking to us this morning. I imagine there's going to be a lot of teachers who are going to want to react to that interview as well. If you'd like to react, please leave your comments on our Twitter account at eNCA, and I'm sure our online team will load that interview as well in the next few minutes. Leave your comments there, and we'll be able to pick up off the back of that.